Okay. The lobe has A. Claudius, it has P. Claudius, so I might as well make it A. Appius Claudius, in the First Punic War, was a consul. And when he was not able to cross his soldiers over to Manasseh, in the accusative going there, from Rhegium, in the ablative, because it looks like you had Carthaginians custoding or looking over the Fretum, the Straits. He sprinkled this rumour about as if the bellum, the war, had been in septum or began unordered of by the people. So as if the people hadn't consented to do this war, and that so that he was not able to gerere the war. He's not able to conduct this war because people didn't want it. And so versus means towards Italy. His classim, his fleet. He simulated that he was turning his fleet towards Italy, and he was agoraing or taking himself there. Then, with the Ponis, the Carthaginians having digressed, gone from there, they had this, these are the people who had a faith of his setting out and leaving. Then he appullated his ships, which means he landed his ships at Sicily, having circumacted, which means turned around. Circum is the turn. Macedonian generals, Spartan generals, when they had determined to navigate to the accusative, Syracuse, and they feared a fleet which had been disposited or placed along the shore of Carthaginians again, 10 Punic ships, which they had in captivity, or they'd taken, ships being female, and as if Vitrixes, comes from Vitrix, which is the female version of it as a victor. So they ordered these primus first to agere, to go along first, these captured ships. And they have correlatives, ought here, either joined from the sides or with their own suis tied to the stern. So looks like they'd see their own ships coming back which had been captured, and the enemy ships tied behind them. With this species of deception, this appearance, they deceived the Carthaginians, then they transited, the Spartans did, the Spartan generals crossed. Philippus, when the narrows of the sea, another strait, which is called Stena in Greek, on account of the Athenian fleet, which was guarding this opportunity of the place, which was basically guarding this place. He was not able to transnavigate it, sail past it, the Hellespont, the Stena. He wrote to the dative Antipater that the Thrace was rebelling. With the garrisons, which he had left there, had been intercepted or cut off, having omitted all things he followed, in which that he had cure of it, he had taken care that this letter would be intercepted by the enemy. The Athenians seem to have received the arcane secrets for the Macedonians, and they abduxerant, duxo means lead, they led away their fleet. Philippus, he was free, with no one prohibiting, he was free for these narrows of the strait. Item. The same guy, Philip, because Jerusalem, I guess that's a place which was under the law of the Athenians, they had the right to it, it was prohibited to be occupied by Philip. The transit, the crossing, was being held not only by the Byzantians, but also of the Rhodians and the ships, the ships Chiorum. So that's three people, Byzantiums, Rhodians, and Chirurians. So Philip conciliated the minds of these people by returning their ships, little gerund there, which he had taken, as if he would get some future of in this deed of ordinating peace between himself and the Byzantiums, who the cause of the war had been. Okay, Daily Dictionary of Sequestries. You can tell from the Futurus it looks plural male. Where do I put it here? Sequestr male from sequel. A depository or trustee, so they're doing a trustee thing in the future as conditions. Also used in the bribery of judges, electors, an agent or go-between, a mediator after the Augustan period, Typically, it's a means of negotiating. Okay, sequestrum. Back to hand. And tractor. With this demand being tracted or handled through a great period of time, and when deindustrialized on purpose, submitting from time to time, he rewrote something in the conditions. In this time, he prepared his fleet through this time, and with the enemy unprepared, suddenly he evaded in, meaning going in, into the narrows of the threat. So they're off guard, and he went in. Chabris the Athenian, when to go into the port of Samiorians with obstanting or blocking, with a blocking naval of the enemy garrison, he was not able to. So this Athenian, when he was not able to go into the port, a few from his own ships he ordered to be sent going past the port and to Transire to cross by. Arbitratus, he thought that those who were in the station there, they would persecute or follow these sent ships. In these, through this plan, they were called away. With no one blocking the port, he adeptus or obtained it with the reliqua class A, with the rest of his fleet. Chapter 5. Concerning evading out of difficult places. Cusis Stordius in Hispania, when from the back, with the enemy pressing in, he had a need, we want to say, to cross the river. So, a vallum, which is a high bit of ground on the river banks, in the way of a crescent moon, so he led there to arise in the shape of a moon, and having honorated up with material, so he's burdened or laid up a big amount of material, so he'd honorated, he built up the vallum with material, then he incended it, which means burning, and thus, with the enemy shut out from the fire, I guess, he crossed the Flumen freely. Similarly, Pelopidas, a Theban, in a Thessalian war, he was searching for a transit, similarly of a river, I guess, for an ampler place, a bigger place, embracing a bigger place above the river for a camp. There was a curvolus vallum and other material, types of material. Curvolus in Caesar is things you build up for a defense of a camp. He was constructed, this vallum, and he burned again. And while the hostes, the enemies, were being moved from this fire, himself, the fluvium, supervit, he overcome the river.